guy here, Abe Medu. Today I will be telling you about what you should avoid doing with Furbies, and I will be going over every single generations and what you shouldn't be doing with them. This is to help new Furby owners or just new buys to know what they shouldn't be doing with their Furbies so they don't break them, so they just keep them in optimal condition. So the main problems with all generations is that they're not waterproof, so if you go somewhere and they get wet, they're probably gonna break. And just keep in mind that water is not good for any generation of Furby. And the second big problem is the fact that they just wake up sometimes if they're shaken in the cars, or so you should be removing the batteries if you want to take them somewhere, because they're probably gonna wake up randomly due to the movement. So now I will be going over every single generation and every single problem that I know, the biggest problems there are with Furbies. So first of all, where you shouldn't take your Furby. So let's say you just want to go somewhere and you want to take your Furby with you. So now I'm going to be telling you where you shouldn't take your Furby, or at least avoid taking your Furby so it doesn't break. So the first place where you shouldn't be taking your Furby is logically a water park or a pool, because water, Furby should be away from water. So avoid taking them to water parks or pools or any type of place like the beach. I'll be going over the beach later because there's more problems on that one. So you should avoid taking them to watery places because they will probably break if they get wet. And it's hard to not get them wet if you're with them in a pool. So avoid water with your Furby. Another place where you shouldn't be taking Furby is very crowded places like the subway or a restaurant like McDonald's, a really crowded place. So you don't want to take your Furby there because let's say you leave it somewhere and someone might just take it, or like a kid might be interested and just take it. And if you're not gonna let your Furby around, maybe you're gonna drop it. Someone's gonna bump into you and you drop it. So there's a ton of problems with bringing them over to restaurants and heavily crowded places, so avoid doing that. Now, another place you shouldn't be taking Furby is the beach, because 1, the water, and 2, because sand is not good for Furbies. Even if it's dry sand, it can get in the fur and be really annoying and just ruin the fur. And after that, if the fur is nice, it can still get into the Furby circuits and cause problems inside, which you do not want. So avoid sand. Another place where you shouldn't take Furbies is muddy places like parks with a lot of greenery. You don't want to get your Furby muddy or drop him on the dirt. Even if it doesn't break, it might just get really dirty. So dirty places, muddy places, you should avoid that. That's a really big red flag to bringing Furbies. Now, there's many more places where you shouldn't be taking your Furby, but I guess those are logical because the best place to keep your Furby is in your house. So you should avoid taking them out unless you're moving or you're traveling somewhere. But in the rest, try to keep them in your house, because if you bring them anywhere else outside your house, there is a lot of risks that can break your Furby. So I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm saying if it's not absolutely necessary, you shouldn't. So now I'm gonna be talking about how you should store a Furby during traveling. So first of all, you're gonna have to remove the batteries because of course you don't want him waking up. But I mean, if you have a Furby Connect, that shouldn't be a problem. You can leave the batteries in because if you have the mask, it will not wake up. So if it's a Furby Connect, you can leave the batteries in. But with other generations, you shouldn't, because let's not risk it. And also with the Furby Connect, if you're gonna take him with you somewhere, try not to crowd him in some like wallet or you don't want to crush it in there, because first of all it might break, and second of all the mask might pop off, and if the mask pops off it might just wake up like any other generation. If, like, for example, something pushes on the antenna inside the luggage and the mask has popped off, it might just wake up. So yeah, if you're gonna take your Furby Connect on a walk, you're gonna want to hold them somewhere where it isn't crushed, so nothing can get the mask off or push the antenna and all that stuff to wake him up. But with every generation, when traveling, you have to remove the batteries, first of all, and second of all, you should be putting them somewhere where they're not being crushed, so they don't break. You want to be really careful, because most generations are quite fragile and you don't want them breaking. And if they don't break, they might just have a ear pop off or their beak break, I don't know, eyes shatter for the newer generations. Yeah, you don't want that, so really careful when traveling with them or putting them in the luggage. Now about the batteries, I suggest you don't take batteries with you if you're going to another country, especially on a plane, because who knows, maybe some planes don't accept batteries in there, and yeah, you're gonna be in trouble. But I mean, is there any country where there's no batteries you can buy? I mean, you can just go buy batteries from that country, so there's no problem really with that. I mean, if you find out and you know for sure that that plane allows batteries, then you can take them with you, but I still suggest taking them out of the Furby, because you don't want trouble on that plane. And also, there's this rumor that 1998 Furbies interfere with the plane radar, which is fake, because they do interfere with radio, but their signals aren't strong enough to actually affect the plane, so it shouldn't be a problem unless you have a lot of them, and I don't think you'll be keeping them all on the plane. So another thing I'm going to be going over is how not to pick up your Furby. So I'm gonna be going over every single generation from own experience and the others' experiences. So 1998, this also includes the baby. You don't want to pick them up by their ears, and this kind of is available to every single generation, because they might break, they might, I don't know, pop off, and especially on the 1998 ones, they might damage the gears, and that might lead to bigger problems. So don't pick them up by their ears. You should just pick them up normally by their body, or just put them on your hand and hold them by the battery compartment. Yeah, so with the Furby Connect, you don't want to pick them up by their antennas, because they also might break. I've heard people who just do it on a daily basis, like pick them up by their antenna or the ears, and they just popped off. So I suggest you don't risk that. I'm not even sure if you can glue it back on, so maybe if it breaks, it's broken and you can't just put it back on. So yeah, that's how not to pick up a Furby. So mainly, you don't want to pick them up by their ears, antennas, beaks. I don't know who would pick them up by their beaks, but if you do, please don't. So now for the last part, I'm gonna be talking for mainly what actions you should avoid with your Furby. So you should avoid shaking them aggressively, because that might damage the gears inside, and they might just, something might come loose inside and you're gonna have to open it up to fix it, and you don't want that. Now the next thing is storing them wrong. If you just store them, I don't know, upside down, on one on top of another, yeah, that's not probably gonna be good for them. They might break, they might just crush each other, so avoid crowding them on top of each other, or yeah, crushing them. Another thing you should avoid with your Furby is over interacting, because if you feed a Furby and don't wait for them to finish talking and you just keep feeding it, it might just damage the insides, and that's not fixable from what I know. So yeah, wait for your Furby to finish speaking before giving another command. So this might make him just last longer and just stay in a better condition on the insides as well. So yeah, just avoid giving them a lot of food and not waiting for them to finish and all that stuff. So yeah, now I think I've gone over everything. If there's something I missed, please tell me in the comments. So yeah, I hope this helped, and see you in the next video. Goodbye everyone.